Some of the most effective AI technologies will be invisible to everyday users, but it will revolutionize everyday living as ambient AI.
From Agerpoint, this is Intelligent Everywhere. I'm James Kotecki, and my guest today is Brian Comiskey, the Futurist from the Consumer Technology Association. That's the group behind CES, the iconic showcase for the future that takes place every year in Las Vegas. And this year, the show will feature AI more prominently than ever before. Brian's perhaps more formal title is the Senior Director of Innovation and Trends. Brian, so glad to have you. Welcome. Tell us more about what it means that ambient AI will be around, but invisible to the average user.
The first thing that we should start with is a definition of ambient AI, which is really a concept in which the idea of artificial intelligence and sensors being seamlessly integrated into the environment. So that way it delivers context aware, adaptable, and unobtrusive service to users. It basically tries to create environments that are sensitive and responsive just to human presence and needs. So, this idea of really intuitive and ubiquitous AI.
The dream sounds great. Tell me about an example or two where that might actually show up.
If you're viewing any time on Netflix, about 90+% of your recommendations are coming from an AI algorithm. You don't necessarily notice that. That's just understanding and learning to personalize to your preferences what you're looking for. It's a similar story on Amazon if you're looking at e-commerce and trying to shop, where about 50% or more of their revenue coming in from e-commerce are actually being driven by a pipeline of AI driven algorithms. So that's where it is now. In the future, the idea of that is it starts to have ramifications for healthcare, mobility, cybersecurity, and other areas.
Now, this is going to be taken and put into the physical world, where it seems like it only gets harder. But paint me perhaps a vision of how something like this might work if I go into an airport and there are these sensors around that can kind of sense my presence. Is an airport a good example, or maybe a hospital, something where people can understand how this might work in the physical world?
Yeah, I think an airport isn't a bad example at all because the idea is how are devices that you're using on a day-to-day basis transforming into overall platforms because of AI. We saw that actually in the Delta keynote, this sort of vision at CES 2025 this year. The idea that you walk into an airport, you put on smart glasses, and the smart glasses have an AI assistant on board that can direct you to your correct gate, the appropriate drop off of your luggage, and really move you through with seamless visuals that are augmented reality. That's all being driven by an AI assistant. So the idea is it should be working with your devices that you already have to make it as frictionless as possible. And smart glasses was the example in this case, but the idea is your phone as well. If you think about where we're at in terms of the app economy and how really everything, there's an app for that, there's an app for this. It's great, it's revolutionary, but we've been living in the app economy for about 17 years. The idea of agentic AI is a key stepping stone to get to this concept of ambient AI. By agentic, we're talking about autonomous or semi-autonomous software and software applications of artificial intelligence that can move your data seamlessly from app to app. That way, you're not always constantly clicking and going into each app. It's okay, I have one flight through this airline, but I'm connecting abroad on another airline to get to a smaller destination. You got to enter your passport information over and over again. You got to enter your baggage information over again, check-in information. That's all done on different apps. The idea of agentic AI being a bit more moving into this ambient environment is the agent will do it for you, where it's moving your passport information seamlessly and securely from app to app without you having to intervene.
That would imply like it's on your device that things are moving from app to app, but maybe it's also jumping from your device to the device that the passport control officer is using or someone else in the airport is using, right? So all these things kind of talking to each other. Is the future more about installing a bunch more equipment and a bunch more sensors and all this new stuff? Or is it kind of about using the physical real world devices that we already all carry with us and adding additional AI and agentic AI layers on top of that? Is that how we get to a smarter version of the physical world?
I truly think it's a bit of both. I think with each, because that's what the point of next generation hardware is about, right? Is that they're going to have more sensors and more AI application capabilities put on board. But still, there's a whole concept called dark compute, which is you have this idea of there is so much unused computing capacity on board the devices that we already have to the day to day. So when you look at where devices are headed in terms of our existing atmospheres, how do we use that to bring in existing software and service to maximize that compute and work together with newer generations of technology?
AI has such promise, or people at least make promises about it in terms of medical revolutions, climate change, food security, infrastructure, you name it, right? People think AI is going to do amazing things. What's your optimism level on humanity's overall ability to move forward in a positive way here?
I'm highly optimistic on it because I think at the end of the day, the beauty of AI is that it can do all this computing, it can do all this processing, it can do all this computation for us. But humans have this creative energy and spark that AI can really help unlock. And I think the boundless potential of human creativity and the human imagination being unlocked or being hypercharged by artificial intelligence really sets us up for that kind of optimistic future. That's what I think.
As you go about your work of trying to predict the future, predict tech trends, is there something you've learned about making predictions?
One of the most consistent things as a futurist is you're trying to predict what the future will look like, and you're not going to be right every time. There's going to be things that don't pan out that way or take a lot longer to develop. A fair example with the QR code was once written as one of the biggest failures of technology. And that's something that futurists a decade ago were saying, this is the future of technology. Well, it didn't go anywhere until the pandemic hit. Adoption doesn't necessarily go at the scale or at the speed that one would expect, but it may occur later. I'm bullish on smart glasses being a major device that could have the potential to at least not displace the smartphone, but be as ubiquitous in some ways where it has heads up display features and AI capability. Well, we've seen smart glasses be done before, and it didn't really pan out the first time in the 2010s. But I think we've advanced enough with AI that in the 2020s, 2030s, it will advance.
One can imagine a world where, okay, the phone, it's got amazing sensors on it, but it's often shoved into a pocket or into a purse. The smart glasses could be sensing the world around them all the time by nature of where they are. And that could open up a whole new world of kind of data overlay and AI overlay onto the physical world that could really change things for the better.
Exactly. And I think it also, like, this is an example of how AI, especially AI that's in the background, that's kind of invisible to us, that's really only on our lenses, it moves into just being heads up display. It's not about the AI, it's about the information you're getting. But importantly, it can also solve some major challenges. I think about what AI on glasses can do for translation, what it can do for background information when you're presenting or preparing to speak to someone. I think that there's a remarkable opportunity here to solve a
Yeah.
communication challenge that I think sometimes humanity has. So that's where I guess to go even full circle, I'm optimistic on humanity with AI because there's so many applications for it to boost our everyday living.
Or people like opt in to like send pictures of your local trees to some database, and then there's some overall analysis of like how trees are growing, or agriculture, or the weather, or the climate, or et cetera, et cetera. Brian, what's your final word for us all here today?
I think the big thing is you're going to see a lot of these AI innovations at CES 2026 in the coming year back in Las Vegas. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how ambient AI, agentic AI, and even physical AI, so robots, how that comes together and what the next stepping stone is going to look like. So I think all of that is going to be then that window tomorrow that is CES.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Brian Comiskey of the Consumer Technology Association, the folks behind CES. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, James.
And thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and tell us what you're working on in the comments, and like and subscribe to let the algorithm know you want more intelligent everywhere. And I'll be happy too. I'm James Kotecki. Let's get out there.